here on your Thursday's Partyline, brought to you by Wimmer Opticians and Chiropractic Connection. John Maile joins me in studio. Happy New Year, John. Welcome back to KASM Radio.
Yes, good morning, Kirby.
Thank you for coming in on the fourth Thursday of the month. That was nice of you.
Yeah, not a problem. It's kind of a weird month with the holiday falling on a Thursday
You get
this
5
year.
Thursdays.
Yeah, it's just a weird, but no problem.
Made it work. You were looking through Randy's windows the other day, I'm told?
I was out stomping through his CRP in his woods along Becker Lake. Yes, chasing those wily coyotes.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Found a present for him, too.
I did. I found a nice half of a rack from a 10-pointer, so I put it on his desk, and
there's
must
Randy's.
be one he didn't get last.
I was going to
year.
say, there's his inspiration for the hunt of 2026.
See, I got him. He said, I got half his rack.
If he mounted that and then hung that kind of in the rack, if he were able to get that buck down, that'd be a pretty cool little wall mount.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yes.
John, you brought a friend today.
Yes, I bought Grant Pearson. He's our Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certificate Program kind of coordinator, leader, actually for the whole central Minnesota, basically.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Can you turn that microphone around? Just a 180 right there. Someone put it in there. There we go. Now yap into that
Get
thing.
it that way.
That's Grant Pearson.
Better.
Yeah,
Okay. All
way
right.
better.
Okay, cool.
Mics are better when you talk into them instead of from behind them. So somebody set you up for failure there.
Yeah.
I'll blame myself.
Sure.
But Minnesota Ag Water Quality, Grant, how long have you been doing that?
Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program. Well, that kind of going back on history, that started as a pilot program, and the Sauk River Watershed was a pilot for that starting back in 2014.
Okay.
So Dennis Fuchs and Mark Lefebvre, they were the primary contacts for that back then. And, of course, both those guys retired last year. But I came on, I'd started with Stearns Soil and Water back in August of 99.
Okay.
Back for about 10 and a half years, I primarily worked with farmers on nutrient management plans, comprehensive nutrient management plans for ag waste fix-up projects. And left for a little while, went to NRCS, was their regional water quality specialist working out along Prairie, and then came back to Stearns June 1, 2015.
Okay.
1 month before the Ag Water Quality Certification Program went statewide on July 1 of 2015. So program's been out there and going statewide now for a little over 10 and a half years.
Did you know that was going to be your only month without it, or was that the writing was on the wall that was coming July 1?
No, there was supposed to be a 1-year gap there.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was interesting. They rolled it out at a time. So there was some confusion early on because also on July 1 of that year, they rolled out the state buffer program.
Oh,
so
yes,
there was
yes.
there was a little bit of angst in the farming community about that buffer rule, and early on in them early days, the water quality certification program, there was some confusion with that being the buffer law. So it took a little while to kind of smooth things out on that communication front.
Well, and you thought you had a year, and you had 30 days.
Yeah,
so I had.
Well, at least I had a career's worth of experience up at that point. So
sure.
It wasn't a real big leap, but it would have been nice to have a little more time versus just 30 days to get up on the program and work with my 11 other SWCD partners on promotion and implementation of the program.
So now you have 10 and a half years of experience throughout that program. What's a day in the life looking like? You're just helping local producers and trying to find some dollars elsewhere, or what's the game plan?
So a day in the life is I primarily came, back when I started, back then Mark Lefebvre, he was doing a lot of the work in Stearns County, and now since he's gone, Megan Herbst has picked up a lot of that. Megan was on the radio here last week.
Right.
So I'm primarily working 11 counties. I have Benton, Morrison, Todd, Douglas, Pope, Stevens, Big Stone, Swift, Chippewa, Candy, Ojai, and Meeker. Those are my 11 counties that I service, and I work with those SWCDs to help promote and implement the Ag Water Quality Program with farmers in their counties.
Sure.
And it's the local soil and water conservation districts that have done a large bulk of the promotion for the Ag Water Quality Certification Program. So I just guesstimate that of the 400 plus applicants that I've worked with over the years, probably 95% of those have come from the local SWCD partners.
When you talk about painting with that broad of a brush county-wise, I mean, what'd you say, 11
Yes.
counties? That many different, soils and landscapes. It keeps things interesting for you, I got to imagine.
Very much so. Very much so. And that, I think, years ago, I was an independent crop consultant early in my career.
Okay.
And I started out in south central Minnesota, down in the Albert Lee area. Then I started getting homesick. I'm from Swanville originally, so I had an opportunity to be affiliated with Central Crop Consulting out of Morris. So and they had an opening for this part of the state. So I moved back this direction from southern Minnesota. Just rented a place here in Albany and start working, through that apartment. I started kind of picking up the pieces on what was left of that crop consulting service area years ago. So I do have some of that agronomic background, and then I worked in southern Minnesota too, with a variety of crops. So it kind of helps me to adapt to a greater soils and some diversity in the crop rotations.
Not to say you've seen it all, Grant, but you've kind of sort of seen it all when it comes to
pretty much
diversity and stuff like that. Yeah,
I have.
Farmer comes at you with an issue or a problem, and you can say, well, I recall once upon a time working with this situation. So it's just nice in your repertoire to have that kind of recall to draw back on.
Yes, yeah. And it's interesting. I've really enjoyed my agricultural career, and it's interesting how small of a world the ag community really is. And
somebody knows somebody.
Somebody knows somebody. Yes.
Did mom and dad farm in Swanville?
My folks, my folks both grew up on small farms, and they had moved away from the Swanville area, and then they got homesick too, and they came back and they bought a portion of my mom's dad's farm when they went back to the Swanville area. But
gosh, you can leave Swanville, but Swanville can't leave you, I see.
That was just kind of a hobby farm situation for my folks, but my mom still had two brothers that had 40 cow dairies at the time. So that's my connection with production ag, is those two 40 cow dairies.
Made your way to Uncle's Farms plenty and kind of got the lay of the land as a young guy?
Yeah, kind of got the bug for crop production practices. Never really got into the milk and cow thing. But, no.
But then just did good in science in school and decided to try to make a career out of getting outside and helping producers?
Well, I was just a local Swanville kid. I didn't know nothing, So I knew I wanted to get into crop production, but at that time I didn't know what that particular field was even called.
Sure.
Because back then we didn't have FFA or even 4-H in Swanville, so there's no good outlet for me just being a small farm kid. So I started out going to St. Cloud State University. I just picked up some general credits and was in the library there just studying a brochure from the University of Minnesota College of Agriculture brochure, and I was just flipping through the different degrees they offered and come across agronomy, and I thought, that's me.
Okay.
That's what I want to do. So,
found one.
Yeah.
Who needs an advisor when you got a pamphlet, right?
That's right.
Old school, right?
That's how that evolved.
The counselor was out that day at the Swanville High, so he just put his career path together all by himself.
Yeah.
John Boy, talk about your relationship with Grant.
Well, Grant is a great teacher, if I had to summarize it that way. So I've been, not quite a year in here, and I've been accompanying Grant and my other staff on the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certificate Program when we certify a producer. And, I get to go there and do the fun thing, which is hold the sign, hand him a case of Minnesota Gold and take a picture. But
maybe sneak one out of there like Dennis Fuchs would?
Yeah, maybe. After hours. But, I start listening to the details of these plans and the crop rotations and nutrient management and, protecting the conservation values of the farm or the acres they run. And the way Grant explains it is so clean. A lot of those questions that those producers have, questions, concerns. How is this going to affect my productivity? Is this a drawback, or am I now stuck to regulations and stuff? And it's no. And Grant does a really good job of explaining how this is going to benefit them, and how the value of that sign at the end of their driveway is really important. People will drive by, and for example, when I worked with a producer this year, and he's proud to have that sign. So when the general public goes by and they're like, well, I wonder what that is. If they do it, if they want to Google it, right?
Yeah.
They can look it up and,
what's that mean?
Well, that producer is doing things that are good for water, good for their manure management, good for everything. They're doing tillage practices, cover crops, things like that. All those things that we push, they're utilizing that, and it's been a pleasure to watch, Grant and Megan and the whole staff really work through that and get these guys over the hump of this isn't regulatory. This is a way to do voluntary conservation so the general public knows we care about the water as much as you do.
Sure.
And we're doing what we can, and the SWCDs across the state basically are our ways, our avenues to get that done. And Grant has been a champion at that.
Second half of the program, Grant, I'm going to ask you how the process basically begins, start to back, to get kind of certified from beginning. We got time for that coming around the corner, but talk about a little bit. We have a few moments here before we have to break. I got to assume you've ran your head into the wall with local producers plenty. I mean, they probably outreach to you, but you maybe starting to get the ball rolling with them sometimes, and they look at you and say, "No, that's all right, government guy, get out of here. I don't. Dad didn't trust the government, and I don't trust the government either," type of thing.
Well, the easy response to that is it's there has to be a level of trust there. I always, when I try to sell and promote the program, I try to boil it down to, hey, guys, it's all about working with you to help stabilize your soil. We want to keep that soil resource on your farm. We don't want it eroding off your field or getting into surface water. And also we want to just evaluate your nutrient and IPM programs along with tillage. We just want to make sure that you're maximizing your nutrient use efficiency and keeping those soil and nutrient resources on your farm just to help maximize your economic benefit.
And having that opportunity to show them the economic benefit, is that a big kind of a big arrow in your quiver, basically, to show them the financial gain?
It is, yeah. It's that's been a challenge over the years, but I had that as part of my talk here later on this morning. But that's one of the things that I think MDA really did a fantastic job on. Because
MDA is Minnesota.
Right, yeah. The Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program is administered by the Minnesota Department of Ag.
Sure.
And what they did a few years back is they started working with the farm business management folks through the different Minnesota state colleges and universities, and they're looking at they're breaking down the numbers between egg water quality certified farmers and the farms that aren't certified. And basically, the farms that are egg water quality certified, they're demonstrating a level of environmental stewardship, soil and water conservation practices, and through the farm business management program, they're finding that egg water quality certified farmers are economically doing better than non-certified farms.
Black and white, right there. Want to do better or not?
Right.
Your
Yep.
move.
Yep.
Basically. We're talking with Grant Pearson and John Maile here on Partyline. We have to step aside for news, weather, and markets. Before I forget, the tree sale is still up and running. I know we had Nolan here last week.
Yep, we're going to keep pushing that. We are about 50% through our sales. Maybe sold out of one species, but...
What if the trees explode tonight and tomorrow?
Yeah, did you see that?
Then you can get more trees. There you go.
Yeah,
Perfect way.
Exploding trees.
I think exploding was a little overturned, but yes, they will crack, frost crack on a really cold day. But
That seems aggressive. I don't know.
Explode.
Yeah, like you're going to put...
I think if trees exploded, how many trees would there be in northern
Right.
Minnesota and
Exactly.
Canada?
And there's plenty up there. So, and Canada's got even more. So
Yes.
Yeah.
we have much more to come, and we'll talk, of course, about the tree sale and how you can produce your trees after they crack, not explode. That's coming up with John Maile and Grant Pearson here on Partyline, brought to you by Wimmer Opticians and Chiropractic Connection.
Minnesota News Network. I'm Brent Pump.
.org. We are back on Sara's Partyline. Partyline brought to you by Wimmer Opticians and Chiropractic Connection. Grant Pearson, along with John Maile, joining me in studio here today. Well, let's roll the sleeves up. Grant, we had talked about what would you say, the advantages and the pride. John had mentioned the pride that some folks have having that sign at the end of the driveway. How do you get the ball rolling to be certified, essentially?
It is, first I'll say the egg water quality certification. It's not just me, but it's so many partnerships that go into it. Working with the local soil and water conservation district partners. And then, of course, they're teaming up with their NRCS partners. And it's really there's so many people that are involved, that effort that goes into a lot of these certifications. It's really impressive. But really, the ball gets rolling more times than not at the local level with the local soil and water conservation district staff when they're having a conversation with a farmer about, hey, what are your concerns out there on your fields? Or is there any way we can help you with any of your concerns? And that a lot of times opens the door for a lot of farmers and or landowners that may be interested in the ag water quality program.
And is it basically they apply, or do you guys kind of award them for great stewardship in your guys' entity?
Right. Yeah. It all starts out with an application.
Okay.
Department of Ag has an application form for the program. That kind of starts the process. And then, once that application has been taken, then we sit down with the landowner and I try to be respectful of their time at all times. So when I like to have an initial sit-down meeting with the farmer to find out what their current cropland management practices look like. So I have a good picture of what they're doing. And we'll sit down and talk about basically a lot of the management factors that really have a major impact on that water quality assessment. So we spend a lot of time talking about nitrogen and phosphorus nutrient management programs, how they're utilizing their manure nutrients along with their commercial fertilizer nutrients. And we are primarily looking at nitrogen and phosphorus. Those are the nutrients that are deemed to have as the potential biggest negative impact on water quality. When we're working with farmers there, we want to find out, what source of those nutrients, where it's coming from, the rate, timing, and placement to help make sure we're getting maximum nutrient use efficiency out of those. Another big component of working with a farmer through the assessment is visiting with them about their tillage practices,
Yep.
along with their crop rotation, from what they do in the fall tillage to spring field prep ahead of planting.
Make sure Dennis Fuchs's arch nemesis, the mole-borne plow, stays in the machine shed.
That residue cover has such a big impact on that water quality score, because if you're sitting there with a bare field and you're not doing much to mitigate that, then that really has a negative effect on that water quality score. And we're probably going to need to see some kind of mitigation there to help overcome potential erosion losses to help get those landowners certified.
Right. What next?
We visit with the landowners about their pest management programs. In the state of Minnesota, there's a handful of herbicides and one insecticide that's deemed to be a common detect within surface water and groundwater. When we start talking about some of them oldies like atrazine, old alachlor doesn't get used much anymore, and then there's acetochlor and metribuzin. Those are kind of the big four that are common detects, and along with chlorpyrifos, which is the old lorsban, but that's not even outlawed for use. That's kind of been outlawed for use now. So.
I can see how John said some stuff gets over some guys' heads.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, some of that.
Just haven't pronounced those.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
seriously.
I'd love to see the spelling on that.
You had to take a
Right.
language class to just
so
to
some
get
of
those
those
off the
products
tongue.
are being used. We want to make sure you can still use them, but hopefully you're kind of at the bottom end of that label use rate, and you're maybe supplementing with some other tank mixes to address your weed and insect needs.
And these are things that maybe our dads probably used a ton of once upon a time, and you're trying to stay away from those chemicals.
Oh, yeah, and some of them products, they're still used quite on a regular basis today, like acetochlor. There's still quite a bit of acetochlor going out, and atrazine too. Farmers, they have a lot of weed resistance issues that they have to deal with, so they like to have a full toolbox of tools to be able to address some of those weed resistance issues.
And being able to, go ahead, John.
And just making sure that they fall in the lower levels of those, or that's
Minimal?
the bigger issue.
Yeah.
They can use them,
Right.
but just are they making sure they're following the label guidelines?
Right. Exactly.
And then from there, you have more boxes to check.
Absolutely.
Sure
yeah,
do.
There's a lot of boxes.
John told me this was going to take the whole show.
Because when we're visiting with a farmer about their water, doing an ag water quality certification assessment, ideally, we're just not talking about one field. We want to work with those landowners on their entire cropland
the whole
operation.
operation.
Yeah, especially everything that they own and most everything that they're renting. Now, there could be some rental situations where it's maybe a handshake or, I'll let you run it this year type of deal, where we might turn an eye to that field. But
Okay.
we want to look at all the fields. So, and on average over the years, the average farm that gets certified through the program is about 740 acres. So additional items we visit with for the landowners is we want to find out, if they're irrigating, what their irrigation water management practices are. We want to make sure they're utilizing that irrigation water in a way that's going to maximize that water use efficiency there. Then another big ticket item for water quality is talking about what the farmers may have for a drainage system out there. Now, if you're working with coarse textured or irrigated sands, then there's usually no tile involved. And I'm not an anti-tile person because we do need tile on some of these heavier soils. If you don't have good drainage, and you're not going to have a crop. But the big thing with tile drainages that we see is some of these tile systems where there's still a lot of open surface tile intakes out there. It's really hard to certify farms that have those open surface tile intakes because if you can imagine, especially if you don't have a lot of residue there and we get a heavy rain event and we start getting superficial movement of water and that starts picking up a little bit of soil and moving trash, we don't want that stuff getting dumped down into these open surface tile intakes. It's a lose-lose scenario because we're getting nutrients deposited into our surface waters, and the farmers are losing that resource. And in the long run, it's just not good for tile line maintenance to be having those materials going into the tile. So
you've seen side effects, or you've seen some situations that those tiles have made not very advantageous.
Yeah, you get to a point to where the tiles, they just don't work anymore because they start to get plugged up, and then it's a big ticket expense now to have to put in new tile lines. So it's been really popular working with landowners, and they see that, and they know the expense of having to put in new tile or fix tile. So we help them utilize what we call alternative tile intakes. And there's some low cost options like some water quality inlets. They're like $40-50 a pop, but there are a little more maintenance associated with them. But through our working with our engineering staff, and we've done a lot of rock inlets or French drains and dense pattern tile too around some to help close up some of those open surface intakes.
So there's always an option.
There's
basically.
always an option.
Try to present an option,
right?
At least.
And then I see too now in the countryside where when tilers are putting in new tile, instead of having that open intake, they'll put a little riser on there. So if there is a heavy rain event and water starts moving to that low area, at least having a maybe a 6-8 inch riser on that intake, that'll give sediment a chance to drop out before it goes down that open intake.
You don't miss a thing, do you, Grant?
No, it's a lot.
Seriously.
It's a lot.
Looking at, and you said on average 740 acre. This isn't just a little 40 acre hobby farm. You guys are looking at some big picture stuff here.
Yeah, the average size is 740. And I think the largest farm I certified was close to 7,000 acres so far. So
that was a long day for you.
That was a long day. I've certified, other farms, and some farms are, I give these farmers a lot of credit. You really have to be on the ball. I've worked with farms that have extremely diverse crop rotations. Corn, soybeans is very common, but see a lot of landowners, planting edible beans now as a little additional source of income, and there's a lot of management goes into those. And, you have coarse soil, and you have coarse soil that's irrigated on some of these diverse operations, and then they have heavier ground too, and that has no tile, so you really get some diverse management situations on some of these farms.
Well, and it's super eye-opening, and those eyes right there were open this fall. You said, John, when you were conversing with a farmer and you saw kind of the crop rotation schedule and stuff like that, where you were like, oh, wow, you guys never slow down, do you?
No. I look at our Dustin Freeler, our Conservation Award winner this year, and again, going back to when I was bouncing around, actually not bouncing because that tractor was pretty darn smooth this fall. But anyways, he talking about all the inputs and the analysis that they do and how this really complements it. And what I'm kind of listening and learning is, if you're a producer out there and you're thinking, what, I would like a little assistance, but I don't want to pay for it, or I want to just do a double check. Am I doing the right thing? Come to the office and it's free. Give us a call.
Yeah.
Give Grant a call. Give Megan a call. If you're listening and you're outside of Stearns County, go to your county SWCD. It's free assistance for us to help you say, oh, we could tweak this to help you a little bit. Here's a little bit of a loss, and we could do some improvements here, or to to just say, yeah, you are doing a really great job. That's our biggest thing. It's
Yeah.
a free service. To
Well, you
give
guys have the
yourself-
tools.
Yeah, we got the tools to make maybe let your head hit the pillow a little bit easier that night.
Right.
And yes, there is a lot of work up front. You just heard from Grant about all the details, and you're going to be like, oh, now he's asking me for this information, or now they want to know this, and oh, they want me to change my tile. Oh no, my dad's going to roll over in his grave if I change that tile. But no, it's free. You can get the ball rolling. You can kind of test the water and say, oh, I'm willing to chase this for a year, sometimes months to get this information. More than that, years.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sometimes I try to do as much prep work ahead of time before I have that first sit down with the landowner, just kind of letting that person know what I'm looking for, soil test information, a couple years of couple years of manure and fertilizer application information, along with what they're spraying for weeds and insects. But everything else is usually just a sit down conversation.
Yeah. How many certifications do you approve of in a year? Is it, are you looking at a dozen, or
it's
like a year by year basis probably?
It's not all me. Like I say, I have partners too. But since I've been here, I think I've signed off on close to 270 certifications. So I'm running about 25, 26 certifications a year.
Sure.
So.
And ebbs and flows. Sometimes you have a little less. Sometimes you have a little more. Just depends on the year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Some operations are very complex, and then sometimes you get landowners that come in and they might have a smaller operation and everything's already in CRP, Conservation Reserve Program, and those maybe take just 4 hours to get all the paperwork done, and you can ink a certification on some of them easy ones.
You like those ones?
Those are kind of nice. those are easy.
That's a fun one.
But
for you.
it's fun working through the challenging ones too, because it's really all about working with the landowners and kind of addressing what their concerns are. Years ago, every time the Department of Ag certifies a cluster of 500 farmers, then they go through a survey process where they'll send out surveys to the most recently 500 certified farms. So then they'll get the responses back. And the last time they did that, 88% of the respondents indicated that they would recommend the water quality program to other farmers. And then when asked about the reasons for participating, 62% of those cited that they had a desire to demonstrate their commitment to water stewardship. And
well, that's music to your ears.
So
right there.
yeah, that's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
So I really can't. I've never worked with a farmer who's out there to just beat their land. They want to see erosion. That just does not happen. So we're out there to provide ideas and options to landowners to help meet their needs.
Without pulling back the curtain too much, what's your batting average for? I mean, if you get 10 applications, do you approve 3 normally, or does that depend as well?
Well, now you're making me think.
Okay.
I did not bring all my numbers with me, but we're
270 approvals in 10 and a half years.
We're around 2/3.
Okay.
I think about 2/3 of all the people that have applied over the years, they're certified now.
Sure.
So I'm sitting around 450 applications total, I think.
Yeah.
The last 10 and a half years, and about was it 400? Yeah, I think so.
Well, Grant, as you kind of alluded to, if someone who got into this industry and didn't worry about erosion or anything like that, if they weren't worried about erosion, they weren't going to apply for for your application anyway. So,
right. Yeah.
Everyone's
I know,
well on their way.
Yeah. Farming practices have changed so much over the years. When I got my undergraduate agronomy degree, when did I get that? Back the spring of, when was that?
2015?
87. Back then there was no talk of soil and water conservation practices. It was all about, intensive chemical inputs.
Plow up as much land as you can.
Commercial fertilizer, agricultural chemical inputs, and moldboard plowing. That was the way to maximize yields, and that's what I learned, years ago when I got my undergrad degree. So it's been a lot of changes I've seen over the years, and I've had to change my way of thinking too.
Right, and you've been at those kitchen tables where, Grandpa didn't do it like this type of deal, and it's like, well, that's That's how it worked in the late '80s. But we have better ways to do things now.
That's right. In the real world, we have to adapt to technology as it changes and learn to incorporate that.
Right. And I mean, you just look at topsoil and stuff like that and how that's diminishing over the years. That something had to be done about it. And programs like this try to build for a better future.
Right. And it's just going to help long-term with, long-term farm economics and just the overall production stability too, having a lot of these systems in place.
Well, how many applications you got on your desk right now? Put them on the spot today, John.
There's been so much work, Kirby, that I haven't really been promoting the program real hard for quite a long time. I've just been, seems like I've been in catch-up mode for years.
Yeah.
So now we're at a point to where we're 10 years in. So I'm not doing a lot of heavy promotion right now. I really don't, personally for me, I don't want to see a lot of applications coming in just because we're 10 years in. And then just last week, Department of Ag sent out a whole pile of letters to farmers that were certified 10 years ago. So I think we've got 44 farmers here in the West Central area where we need to go back to those farmers now this year and work with them on their 10-year renewal for their certifications. So.
Okay. So once you're certified, this isn't just like a lifetime stamp. You didn't make the Hall of Fame. You got to continue to keep going here.
Exactly. When you're initially certified, it's a 10-year certification. So, 4 years into it, we do a status review and just find out where the farmers are at. And then 10 years down the road, then we go back. And 10 years into it, then the certification expires. If the landowner wants to renew it, we're certainly happy to work with them and work with them on renewing that certification. And that's where we're at now with those that were certified back in 2016. But, by and large, it's going to be a much more simpler process doing that than it was through the initial. So
well, and luckily, being they were certified, they know what it takes. It's not like they got the certification and said, "All right, get the plow out. Let's go. Let's start over again." They're well on their way in their stewardship for conservation and stuff like that.
And the other thing, just kind of going back to that survey that Department of Ag does on, every time they get 500 new farmers certified. Another part of that survey was 75 or 74% of the farmers that responded to the survey reported adopting additional conservation practices as a result of becoming certified, which is really encouraging indicator of the program's positive environmental impacts. So.
Right. Well, and I to go with that is, in our office, and also we have a new program come up where I've been we have, cover crops, or we're having whatever else new funding source rolls out. Who do you think we start thinking about first?
Those the
ones that are
certified.
Yep. Because they're looking to, they're starting to get it, and we know they're cooperators. They're thinking that way. And so, I talked with a producer this year that is not. And I said, you know what? This is a great way to get the ball rolling on your acres, is thinking about, working through our staff. It's a big producer. And because I said, we can help you out. We can complement that.
Right.
You're going to be at the top of the list when X, Y, or Z funding sources come
up. First come, first serve. And you want to be first, don't you?
Yeah. So, or if you want a little bit extra help on whatever, we're going to go to you.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to put it, John, too. So an opportunity to get that first couple phone calls.
Yeah,
right there,
absolutely.
By being certified.
Right.
You were right. He was going to have plenty to say.
Yes.
I feel like, Grant, we could have you back tomorrow, too. And, we almost barely scratched the surface here.
I've got through about half my information here so far, Kirby.
Well, look at that. It's 10 o'clock and you're halfway done. That's convenient. Well, we appreciate you coming by. John can bring you back in a quarter or so. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, not a problem. I mean, this is a great time of year for producers to think about this stuff. The wind is blowing. The snow is out there. It's cold. So,
yeah, you see that little snow buildup in the ditch right there? Something to think about.
It's perfect. I actually could make the corner without. Anyways, move on.
John made his way to KASM scratch-free on the truck today.
That's right.
That's good. Grant had no issues.
No issues.
Coming down at a nice speed.
Just driving down from Lake Avenue. Yeah, it was close. It was a short drive.
Yeah, seriously. The guy thought about walking if it wasn't 0 degrees. Grant, you're an easy guy to get a hold of?
Yes. Yep.
Can you give me your phone number to show me how easy it is?
Oh boy, that's tough. I think the best way was just to get a hold of me.
Or is it an email?
But go to the Stearns Conservation
Oh,
District
okay.
website.
320-251-7800 extension 3.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
Yes.
Get the ball
Yeah,
rolling.
because they got my telephone number on the websites, but
Yeah, you can find it.
I honestly can't remember what it is.
Well, how often do you call your own number?
I
right?
don't. That's right.
Yeah, leave yourself a voicemail or something like that. And then tree sale, it's right on the website as well.
Yeah, tree
right at the top.
sales, lots of activities coming up, you know.
Yeah, Women and Egg Expo
Women
is
and
next
Egg.
week. Yep.
Yeah, there's the Shoreland Workshop. There's a whole list. I know they were covered last week too, but yeah.
Plenty of information on
Plenty of information.
StearnsSWCD.org.
www.stearnscd.org, or give us a call and just ask for John, ask for Grant, ask for Megan, ask for who can help me with whatever you got the question on, and they'll get you there.
There we go. Well, next time you go creep in Randy's backyard, bundle up because it's a little colder than it was the last time you were there. Grant, it was nice meeting you.
Same here.
And thanks for listening to KASM.
I am a regular listener. Yeah.
Good Albany man, listening to Albany Radio.
Yep, you guys do a great job with egg programming here.
We appreciate that. Joe works pretty hard at that. Grant and John, have a good day, okay?
All right, see you later.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. John Maile.